Good evening, bonsoir. Bienvenue à la séance ordinaire le 20 mai. Welcome to the public meeting on May 20th. Please rise for the national anthem. On va faire la reconnaissance territoriale. Nous reconnaissons avec respect l'emplacement de la ville de Bathurst en tant que terre ancestrale du peuple Mi'kmaq. Aujourd'hui, ces terres sont hôtes d'une population diverse, comprenant personnes natives du territoire et autres patries. Nous reconnaissons aussi avec respect l'histoire et les diverses cultures du peuple Mi'kmaq de la région. We respectfully acknowledge the city of Bathurst as the ancestral homeland of the Mi'kmaq. Today, these lands are homes to a diverse population of indigenous and other peoples. We also acknowledge with respect the diverse histories and cultures of the Mi'kmaq in this region. On va aller à l'approbation de l'ordre du jour. Madame Parker.
Que l'ordre du jour soit approuvé comme présenté.
Parfait. Est-ce que je peux avoir quelqu'un pour conseiller Branch, secondé par député Mawlit? Prêt pour la question? Tous en faveur signifier en disant oui. Contre non. Motion adoptée. Ms. Parker, do we have any declaration of conflict of interest?
No conflicts of interest declared.
All right. We're going to go to the adoption of the regular public meeting held on May 5th, 2025. Ms. Parker.
That the minutes of the regular public meeting dated May 5th, 2025 be approved as circulated.
All right. I'll need someone to move in second. Moved by Councillor Scarry, seconded by Councillor Hondas. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Okay. Bon, on a une petite présentation ce soir, mais notre cher chef pompier Boucher se retire. Il nous quitte. Tonight, we recognize and celebrate the remarkable career of a fire chief, Danny Boucher, who is retiring after more than 27 years of dedicated services to the Bathurst Fire Department. Danny began his journey in fire services as a volunteer fighter and joined the city of Bathurst as a temporary firefighter on July 27, 1998. Over the years, he climbed the ranks through hard work, professionalism, and leadership, serving as third, second, and first-class firefighter, then lieutenant captain, deputy fire chief in 2016, and finally as fire chief since October 18, 2021. Throughout his career, Chief Boucher has also been a valued trainer and mentor, sharing his knowledge and experience with those around him. Ce soir, nous soulignons et célébrons la carrière remarquable du chef pompier Danny Boucher, qui prend sa retraite après plus de 27 années de service dévoué au sein du service d'incendie de Bathurst. Danny a débuté dans le domaine des services d'incendie en tant que pompier volontaire. Il s'est joint à la ville de Bathurst à titre de pompier temporaire le 27 juillet 1998. Grâce à son travail acharné, son professionnalisme et ses qualités de leader, il a gravi les échelons au fil des ans. Pompier de 3e, deuxième, puis première classe, lieutenant, capitaine, chef adjoint en 2016 et enfin chef pompier depuis le 18 octobre 2021. Tout au long de sa carrière, le chef Boucher a aussi été formateur et mentor apprécié, partageant généreusement ses connaissances et son expérience avec ses collègues. On behalf of Council, au nom du Conseil municipal, we thank Fire Chief Boucher for his years of service. Nous remercions chaleureusement le chef pompier Boucher pour ses nombreuses années de service, son dévouement et son engagement indéfectible envers la sécurité et le bien-être de nos citoyens. We wish him all the best in all his endeavors. So, Chief Boucher, if you can come up, we have a little something for you. Actually, he was my landlord. I actually rented a duplex from him when I was pregnant for my first daughter. So we've known each other for a long time, so we can do this. Le conseil de se joindre à nous. We hate to see you go. Really hate to see you go. But it's time.
I've known Penny for many years.
Many years.
Thank you and congratulations. Oh yeah, they give you a watch and you don't need one.
27 years ago you should have got that.
That's lucky.
We'll take a picture. Yeah, we're going to take a picture.
You didn't have Bathurst.
Oh yeah.
That is a beautiful one. So we'll take two.
Yeah.
All right.
Danny, move forward a bit. In. We get the tall ones behind.
Yes, I'm blocking you.
Switch. Wide.
I'm so tall.
There. Hey. Back. Just a tad more. Oh, good. That's good.
Thank you. 27 ans de service. Incroyable. Merci, merci, merci. Et bonne retraite. Yes. Can we put him to the mic? Yep. Viens le podium. Je vais vous donner. After 27 years of service, oui. Oui.
It just pretty emotional for me. I started volunteer back in '88, 37, it'd be 38 years in September. I came in volunteer and I was looking at some of the older gentlemen or firefighters, and I looked on their left sleeve and they have a star for every 5 years, and I looked at these guys and I said, wow, that guy's been here a long time. And like that, I'm that guy today. And I really feel that I need to thank Mayor and Council in the past years, and the people from the city for making this a really good career for me. When it's all you do and it's all you know, it's hard to step away, but I know it's time. I thank you for your patience with me. I tried to get the department in a better direction than we were, try to build it up and move forward, and I think I've put the people in the right pathway to do that. So once again, I just want to thank everybody, thank the citizens of the city for welcoming me. And Bathurst is a great place to be. It's a great place to grow. and it's a great place to have a great career, and I'm living proof of that. I just thank you again.
Thank you. Mais moi, je suis touchée. OK. Bon, on s'en va aux finances. Accounts payable total for April 2025. Miss Parker.
That the accounts payable totals, including payroll, for the month of April 2025 be approved as follows. Operating, $1,243,075. Capital, $278,748, for a total of $2,997,161.
All right, I'll need someone to move in second. Moved by Councillor Branch, seconded by Councillor LeBlanc. Mr. Pettigrew? No, I'll give you the mic.
Thank you, Worship.
Okay. She's on the slow mode.
Yeah, thank you, Worship. The following is a summary of the disbursements for both the operating and the capital funds for the month of April 2025. In the capital fund, Black and McDonald received a payment of $61,356 for West Booster Pump rebuild. Design Built Mechanical Inc. received a payment of $24,553 for a monorail for water treatment plant pump room. LCL Excavation 2006 Inc. received a payment of $178,819 for St. Anne Street upgrade. Roy Consultants Limited received a payment of $14,021 for consulting service on various projects, for a total in the capital fund of $278,748. In the operating fund, Chaleur Regional Service Commission received the Q2 contribution payment of $76,597. Irving Energy received a payment of $41,129 for bulk diesel and oil. K&D Pratt received a payment of $53,472 for firefighters equipment. McLennan Sales received a payment of $14,059 for plumbing parts and repairs. NB Power received a payment of $227,810 for electricity. Raritan Arsenal received a payment of $76,597 for purchase of land at 345 and 355 King Street. Roy Consultants Limited received a payment of $30,699 for consulting services on various projects. Solution Stack received a payment of $27,656 for subscription fees and computer equipment. Various vendors for road salt and snow removal received payments of $105,502. Other recurring payments of $589,555 for a total of $1,243,075. Total payroll for four pay periods was $1,475,337 for a total in the month of April of $2,997,161. That's my report, Your Worship.
Thank you, Mr. Pettigrew. Do we have any questions? Est-ce que nous avons des questions pour Mr. Pettigrew? Aucune question? We'll go to the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. On a quelques arrêtés municipaux, mais on a deux présentations. La première présentation, demande de rezonage pour 555 Promenade Évangéline par Madame Naïssa Rose Rabé-Haro. So, zoning request for 555 Evangeline Drive by Miss Naïssa. Good evening.
Evening. Thank you so much. So, good evening, Your Worship, Council, and public. So, we have two public presentations today. I'll start with the first one. It is a plan amendment and rezoning. And the presentation will be as follows. We will have the application overview, the site location and characteristics, uses timeline, urban analysis, which will include legislative authority under the CPA, the municipal plan, the zoning bylaw, the stakeholders' input, and then we're going to have the planning department recommendation and process timeline. So the property owner is Mega Concept Investments, Inc., and then the applicant, there's none per se because it has been initiated by the city. So this is an amendment to the Schedule A of the future land use map of the City of Bathurst bylaw number 2006-01 to change the designation from communication tower to commercial, and an amendment to the Schedule A of the zoning map of the City of Bathurst zoning bylaw number 2008-01 to change the zoning from communication tower to highway commercial. That would be for a 23,748 square meter portion of the subject property with the PID listed, located at 555 Evangeline Drive in the city of Bathurst, in order to specify that the amendments adopted by the Council in 2019 were for a portion of the property and not for the entire property. Bylaws 2019-03M and 2019-03Z adopted in 2019 therefore had the effect of changing the zoning for the entire property, whereas only the portion of land occupied by the tower was meant to have its zoning changed from highway commercial to telecommunication tower. For the site location and characteristics, we have the aerial image locating the subject property. It is outlined in blue. And we have a closer view. Here we have the tiny square that is in yellow, which represents the lot for the tower that is already installed. It's a portion that is 152 square meters. The subject property has an irregular shape, and as mentioned, the area for this portion is 23,748 square meters. The access is via Saint-Anne Street. It is serviced. The current zoning is communication tower. The property is now vacant with only the installed East Link tower on the 152 square meters portion of the subject property. There is no new proposed use for the 23,748 square meters portion of the lot. It will remain as is. When it comes to the user's timeline, let's go with the site history. In 2019, Eastlink submitted an application to change the future land use designation from commercial to communication tower, and the zoning from highway commercial to communication tower for a 152 square meter portion of the subject property to install a communication tower of a height of 45.7 meters. The property is now vacant with only the installed Eastlink tower on the 152 square meters portion of the subject property. We have a few photos, and the first one is a view of the subject property. The second is a view of the communication tower and the surroundings on the subject property. Then we have the view from the subject property of the neighboring houses across Saint-Anne Street. For the proposed use, as mentioned, there is no new one, so the remainder portion of the subject property remains vacant. For the urban analysis, we have legislative authority under the CPA C19, and that would be under its section 59.1. Also, Council shall request the views of the advisory committee as per sections 110.1 and 110.2. The municipal plan of the City of Bathurst, which is bylaw number 2006-01, serves as a guide to determine the compliance of future development with the overall objectives of the city. The plan is intended to be used by Council, Planning Department, PAC, developers, businesses, community organizations, and residents to guide day-to-day decisions affecting development. The municipal plan map divides the city into 9 major land designation zones. The subject property delimited by the blue line, as we can see on the map on the right, is designated as communication tower. When it comes to the policies and proposals, I will not go into details because there is no new development. However, it's important to mention that compared to the communication tower zone, which only allows one use related to towers, the highway commercial zone would best cater to tourist and growth-related needs and help meet commercial development goals with the variety of uses it allows. For the subject portion of the property, it is currently zoned as communication tower when it comes to the zoning land uses. So the communication tower is represented in purple on the map on the right. The subject property was initially zoned as highway commercial, and the rezoning of 2019, which was bylaw 2019-03Z in 2019 to communication tower, was meant to be for just a 152 square meters portion of the subject property. The communication tower zone allows one or more of the telecommunication tower use as a main use, and any accessory building, structure, or use incidental to the main use of the land, building, or structure, if such main use is permitted by this subsection. Then we have the highway commercial zone allowed uses. So we have one or more of the main uses, one or more of the following accessory uses. So it's any accessory building, structure, or use incidental to the main use of the land, building or structure, if such main use is permitted by this section. And we also have one or more of conditional uses. So just to have a preview, I won't go through them in details. It's just to show that it allows more compared to the communication tower zone. When it comes to the neighborhood character and development impact, we first check the correlation of uses. So that is to check the dynamics of land uses in the surrounding area within a radius of 500 meters. There is a harmonized mix of the uses in general. There is no correlation between the communication tower zoning and surrounding zones. Let's remind that the communication tower is represented on the map in purple, and a majority of the areas are residential zones represented in yellow, with low and medium density areas, and highway commercial zones, which are represented in red. A minority of the areas are parks and open spaces. We have them in green here, institutional zones in blue, and one light industrial zone, which is light gray. For the existing uses, there are none on the property besides the communication tower that is on the portion of the subject property. There is a mix of existing uses surrounding the subject property within a radius of 500 meters. So we have commercial uses here represented in red. There are the restaurants, including fast food, supermarkets, shopping stores, pharmacies, car rental services, gas station. We have institutional uses here represented in light gray. We have the cemetery and St. Anne Library. We have residential uses represented in yellow, and there are several residential buildings. For the socio-economic factors, as per the study done by Imagine Schaller, Bathurst is expected to be the focus of future population growth in the region and is a regional hub for healthcare and other major services, including retail and businesses. With expected growth in the future, having land with potential for development to answer to the needs of the population will be crucial. When it comes to the built environment, the immediate area in which the subject property is located is not densely built, so there is a sporadic repartition, but the areas on the south and northeast of the subject property are densely built. So we can see the buildings are presented in dark gray on the map, the first map on top. The building's average height is 1 story along St. Anne Street, south of the property, and approximately 2 stories along Evangeline Drive. And then we have traffic and circulation. The subject property has its frontage on Evangeline Drive, and the access to the tower is via St. Anne Street. As per the municipal plan, Evangeline Drive and St. Anne Street are designated as collector roads. So we have them presented in yellow. And St. Peter Avenue, located at approximately 220 meters, is a designated arterial road presented in red. For the environmental factors, the subject property presents a relatively flat ground surface except for the edges along the property line on the north, Evangeline Drive on the east, and St. Anne Street on the south, which show a progressive drop of ground level, as we can see on the presented maps and elevation profiles. So the subject property has the tiny dot that you can see, black dot, and as I mentioned on the topography map, we can see that the edges are, they have a tiny drop. The subject property, as I mentioned, has it's relatively flat, so we can see it here on the elevation profile on the picture on the right. Even though the subject property is adjacent to the Dawson's Brook, it doesn't seem to have any wetlands, nor will it be affected by flooding as per the provincial maps predictions in 20 to 100 years. So we have the water here that is presented in purple and dark blue, so it doesn't touch the property. Considering there is no proposed development for the subject property, there won't be any impact on the volume of traffic, the noise, and the overall activity that would surface the existing conditions and patterns of activity in the neighborhood. Any potential development would be subject to the highway commercial zoning regulations for setback, lot coverage, parking, etc., along with any potential conditions that council wishes to impose. When it comes to the stakeholders' input, a request for comments on the amendment was circulated to the City of Bathurst departments. We have Public Works, Engineering, and Economic Development, as well as the DLG departments. So the following comments have been received from the Watercourse and Wetland Alteration Branch. The online WAWA reference map indicates that a watercourse and the 30-meter buffer zone of a watercourse are located within the project limits of the listed PID. For any alteration in or within 30 meters of a watercourse or wetland, as defined by the DELG, a WAWA permit is required. In addition, our assessment indicates the potential for an unmapped wetland within the property or within 30 meters of the subdivision. Prior to any development on the property, WAWA may require that the presence or limits of wetlands be assessed in the field by a qualified wetland delineation professional. Now we come to the Planning Department recommendation. Pursuant to Section 110(1) of the Community Planning Act, it is recommended by the Planning Department that the City of Bathurst amend the Schedule A of Future Land Use Map of the City of Bathurst, Municipal Plan Bylaw number 2006-01, to change the designation from communication tower to commercial, and Schedule A of the zoning map of the City of Bathurst zoning bylaw number 2008-01 to change the zoning from communication tower to highway commercial. That would be for a 23,748 square meters portion of the subject property, described as the listed PID, located at 555 Evangeline Drive in the City of Bathurst, subject to the following terms and conditions pursuant to Section 59 of the Community Planning Act. That the 152 square meters portion of the property where the tower is installed remains a communication tower zone. Any potential development would be subject to a minimum setback from the tower. The setback should be the height of the tower plus 10% of that height, and any additional conditions that Council wishes to impose. So for the process timeline, today is the public presentation. The 27th of May will be the PAC meeting. Then we have a 30 days period from today to have the written comments sent to the city clerk. And July 7th will be the public hearing, the PAC views, first and second readings. Then finally, July 21st, we will have adoption of conditions, third reading, and bylaw adoption. And that ends the first presentation.
Thank you. Do we have any questions? Councillor Burnett?
Thanks, Madam Mayor. That little brook that goes through there, does that hinder development at all from that area? So when you enter that property, would you have to build a special bridge or culverts or what?
So in fact, for any water course or wetland, so you have to have a buffer zone. You can't have any development within the 30 meters buffer zone. And also you have to identify if there's any wetland to also be within a buffer zone from that wetland. So, yeah.
Because I got a kick one day when I was going through there. A lot of my friends were upriver fishing, and 3 young fellows came out of the ditch there and had a whole mess of trout right downtown. So sort of neat. So thank you very much, but I'm glad that that's going to be taken care of.
My pleasure.
All right. So we'll move on to the public presentation. Rezoner request for 1935 St. Peter's Avenue.
So this is the second public presentation. This one is only a rezoning. And I've already gone through the structure of the presentation, so I won't repeat that again. The property owner is 1935 St. Peter Avenue, Inc. And as mentioned, there is no applicant here because it has been initiated by the city. So the rezoning for this one would be an amendment to the Schedule A of the zoning map of the City of Bathurst, zoning bylaw number 2008-01, to change the zoning from communication tower, to highway commercial. That would be for a 27,833.15 square meters portion of the subject property with the listed PID, located at 1935 St. Peter Avenue in the City of Bathurst, in order to specify that the amendment adopted by the Council in 2019 was for a portion of the property and not for the entire property. Bylaw 2019-04Z, adopted in 2019, therefore had the effect of changing the zoning for the entire property, whereas only the portion of land occupied by the tower was meant to have its zoning changed from highway commercial to telecommunication tower. For the site location and characteristics, we have the aerial image here, and the property is outlined in blue. With a closer view here, we can see the lot where the tower is installed. It's highlighted in yellow. The property has an irregular shape, and the portion that is rezoned has an area of 27,833.15 square meters. The access is via St. Peter Avenue. It is serviced, and the current zoning is communication tower. There is an existing building used for offices and commercial services, and as previously mentioned, there is no new proposed use for this portion of the property. It will remain as is. For the user's timeline, let's go to the site history. In 2019, Eastlink submitted an application to change the zoning from highway commercial to communication tower for a 225 square meters portion of the subject property to install a communication tower of a height of 55 meters. In 2023, the subject property has been rezoned to allow, in addition to the uses normally permitted for the highway commercial, solar panel systems. The actual main use on the portion of the property is a building with offices and commercial services. So on the right, we have a photo that shows the view of the communication tower on the subject property. We have other photos. The first one is a view of the subject property from the axis on St. Peter Avenue. The one in the middle is a view of the main existing building on the subject property. And then the third one is a view of the automobile dealership building located south of the subject property. There is no new use proposed, and the actual use on the portion of the subject property is unchanged. So the solar panel systems will remain as an allowed use on the property. For the urban analysis, we get legislative authority under the CPA, and also that is under its section 59.1. Council shall request the views of the advisory committee as per section 110.1 and section 110.2. So I've already mentioned the uses and what the municipal plan serves as, so I won't go through that again. The municipal plan map divides the city into 9 major land designation zones, and the subject property here is delimited by blue on the map on the right, which is designated as communication tower. And again, for the policies and proposals, it's important to remind that the communication tower doesn't allow as much as the highway commercial zone. So that's why it's very important to rezone this land to allow more development. The subject portion of the property outlined in red and colored in purple on the map on the right is currently zoned as communication tower. The subject property was initially zoned as highway commercial, and the rezoning with bylaw 2019-04 said in 2019 to communication tower was meant to be for just a 225 square meters portion of the subject property. So the communication tower zone, as mentioned previously, allows only one use as a main use, and any accessory building, structure, or use incidental to the main use of the land, building, or structure if such main use is permitted by this subsection. So we can see that compared to this list of uses allowed in the highway commercial zone, this one allows more compared to the communication tower one. For the neighborhood character and development impact, when it comes to the correlation of uses, within the radius of 500 meters, we can see that there is a harmonized mix of the uses in general. The highway commercial zones form a corridor along St. Peter Avenue. So those zones are represented in red. And we can see that the communication tower zone, which is represented in purple, is breaking that continuity of the highway commercial corridor that we can see on the map on the right. There is no correlation between the communication tower zoning and surrounding zones. A majority of the areas are highway commercial zones, which are in red, and rural zones in green. A minority of the areas are institutional zones, which are in blue, low residential zones in yellow, integrated development zones in dark blue, and open spaces in light green. For the existing uses, the existing building is used for commercial purposes. So those are represented in red. We have offices and businesses such as Gymnasia Bathurst, MNP accounting firm, Clinic Therapy Laser Plus, which is a naturopathic practitioner. There's a mix of existing uses surrounding the subject property within a radius of 500 meters. So we have commercial uses represented in red, such as restaurants, including fast food, shopping stores, clinics and medical supply stores, car dealerships and detailing, laundry services. We have institutional uses, which are represented in light gray, with CCNB Bathurst as an example. We have residential uses represented in yellow with apartment buildings. For the socioeconomic factors, I've already went through this. It's because we expect development in the city, so we're doing this to prepare and have enough land for that potential. For the built environment, the area in which the property is located is not densely built. there is a sporadic repartition, and the building's average height is 1 story, as we can see on the maps on the right. For traffic and circulation, the subject property is located next to U-Hall Drive and has its frontage and access on St. Peter Avenue. As per the municipal plan, St. Peter Avenue is designated as an arterial road. So I'm going to show it with my mouse here. So that's St. Peter, which is the arterial road. And we have U-Hall Drive, which is designated as a collector road, and that is the one with the mouse here. For environmental factors, the third of the subject property going from St. Peter towards the rear lot line has a higher ground elevation compared to the remaining 2/3, which shows a hollow area with steep edges, as we can see on the presented maps and elevation profiles. So the subject property, I'm going to try to have my mouse here, is represented with the one with the black dot, and we can see this is the higher ground elevation, and here we have the hollow area. And here with the elevation, we can see more of the high elevation compared to the hollow here. The subject property is located at approximately 100 meters of the Tethelgush River and wetlands or tidal flats. Despite the hollow within the property, it doesn't have any sign of water retention or wetlands, and it is not located within the 30-meter buffer from the water course and wetlands. So that's what we can see on the maps on the right. Also, it won't be affected by flooding as per the provincial maps predictions in 20 to 100 years. Considering there is no proposed development for the subject property, there won't be any impact on the volume of traffic, the noise, and the overall activity that would surpass the existing conditions and patterns of activity in the neighborhood. But site development regulations and considerations, any potential development would be subject to the highway commercial zoning regulations for setback, lot coverage, parking, etc., along with any potential conditions that council wishes to impose. And for the stakeholders' input, no concerns have been raised. For the Planning Department recommendations, pursuant to Section 110(1) of the Community Planning Act, it is recommended by the Planning Department that the City of Bathurst amend the Schedule A of the zoning map of the City of Bathurst zoning bylaw number 2008-01 to change the zoning from communication tower to highway commercial. That would be for a 27,833.15 square meters portion of the subject property, described as the listed PID, located at 1935 St. Peter Avenue in the City of Bathurst, subject to the following terms and conditions pursuant to Section 59 of the CPA. That the 225 square meters portion of the property where the tower is installed remains a communication tower zone, that solar panel systems remain allowed on full property as per the bylaw 2019-04Z, subject to the satisfaction of the development officer prior to the issuance of any required permits. Any potential development would be subject to the minimum setback from the tower. The setback should be the height of the tower plus 10% of that height, and any additional conditions that council wishes to impose. So for the process timeline, it's pretty similar to the first one, and from today we have 30 days for written comments to be sent to City Clerk. The PAC meeting will be on May 27th. July 7th will be public hearing, PAC views, first and second readings, and finally, July 21st, we have adoption of conditions, third reading, and bylaw adoption. And that ends the second presentation.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Do you have any questions? We have no questions. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Very clear. On va aller à la résolution du Conseil en vue de modification, le plan municipal et l'arrêté de zonage en vertu de l'article 111 de la loi sur l'urbanisme pour 555 Promenade Evangeline. So council resolution to amend the municipal plan and the zoning bylaw pursuant to section 111 of the Community Planning Act for 555 Angeline Drive. Ms. Parker.
Whereas the City of Bathurst proposes to amend bylaw number 2006-01 entitled the City of Bathurst Municipal Plan Bylaw and bylaw 2008-01 entitled the City of Bathurst Zoning Bylaw to allow the designation and use of the following lands as follows. Change the zoning of a portion of the lot bearing civic number 555 Evangeline Drive and bearing PID 207-84823 for the purposes of the municipal plan. The future land use designation is changed from communication tower to commercial. For the purpose of the zoning bylaw, the zoning is changed from communication tower CT to highway commercial HC. The purpose of this rezoning is to specify that the amendments adopted by the council in 2019 were for a portion of the property and not for the entire property. Be it resolved that 1. Bylaws amending the municipal plan and zoning bylaw be drafted for this purpose. 2. The city clerk, acting on behalf of the council, see that the public notice prescribed in Section 111 of the Community Planning Act is posted on the municipality's website to announce the council's intention, the day, and place for the consideration of objections to the proposed bylaws, and 3. Consideration of objections to the proposed bylaws take place at 6:30 p.m. on July 7, 2025 in the council chambers.
All right, I'll need someone to move and someone to second. Moved by Councillor Honda, seconded by Councillor Legacy. Are we ready for the question? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carried. On s'en va à l'adoption des restrictions et des conditions conformément à l'article 59 de la loi sur l'urbanisme pour les propriétés situées sur la promenade Daniel et le boulevard Vanier. So adoption of restriction and conditions pursuant to Section 59 of the Community Planning Act for property located on Daniel Drive and Vanier Boulevard. Ms. Parker.
Whereas, council members approved the agreement between 679798 NB Incorporated and the City of Bathurst, and that the mayor and city clerk be authorized to sign all related documents on behalf of the city, and whereas the municipality has received a request from the owner to amend the zoning of the parcel bearing PID 209299683 to allow the development of a residential complex comprising several multi-unit row houses, and whereas the council intends to adopt bylaw number 2025-01Z to permit this development as a conditional rezoning pursuant to Section 59 of the Community Planning Act, and whereas the council wants to add terms and conditions through a conditional rezoning agreement attached to bylaw number 2025-01Z to ensure once the rezoning is completed that the parcel is developed in accordance with the terms and conditions listed in the agreement, and whereas subsection 59.2 of the Community Planning Act stipulates that this agreement, once entered into, will only take effect after certified copies of the rezoning bylaw and the agreement are filed in the Land Registration Office. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the following terms and conditions be imposed on the parcel. 1. Any new access point between the property and adjoining streets must be approved by the Public Works Department. 2. The owner must contact Surface Water Management of the Department of the Environment and Local Government to obtain a watercourse and wetland alteration permit if required. 3. The owner must comply with all recommendations made by the consultant in the geotechnical study, particularly those concerning slope stability. A. Site slopes in the construction areas, parking lot, and driveway should not be significantly raised from the existing elevation. B. No additional fill should be added to the slopes without the approval of the geotechnical engineer. C. Existing vegetation on slopes must not be removed. D. Measures must be taken to ensure that a runoff, roof drain, and drainage pipes are disposed of in such a way as not to cause erosion or saturation of slopes. Such measures could include rip-wrap-lined swales, ditches on the slope, or retention basins, with drains falling at the base of the slopes. E. Proposed developments should be set back at least 3.5 meters from the edge of the nearest slope. F. The final drawing showing the footprint of the proposed development must be submitted to the geotechnical engineer for review and approval. 4. The development of the residential complex must be consistent with the development concepts, architectural plans, and other documents submitted to the municipal council and to the planning department as part of the rezoning process. If, in the opinion of the planning department, the final layout deviates only slightly from the concepts presented, these plans must be reevaluated and approved by the Planning Advisory Committee as a variance. If, in the opinion of the planning department, the proposed modifications are major, these plans will have to be brought back to council for review and approval by resolutions. 5. All provisions of the zoning bylaw continue to apply. 6. The above-mentioned terms and conditions are binding upon the parties, their administrators, officers, hears, and assigns. 7. On the rezoning of the land in the zone and any building or structure on the land shall not be developed or used except in accordance with the conditional rezoning agreement, the terms and conditions imposed, and the time limits prescribed. 8. The parties acknowledge having read the contents of the document and declare having signed it.
Oof, that was a big one. Take a drink of water, Amy.
There's more.
There's more, I know. All right, I'll need someone to move. Moved by Councillor Bryant, seconded by Councillor LeBlanc. Do we have any questions? Oh, Councillor Burnett?
Thanks, Madam Mayor. When would this project start? now that we were going through all this final documentation.
Good question. Mr. Pettigrew?
Your Worship, we'll go through to Mr. Bouffard.
Mr. Bouffard? OK. Je vous donne le micro, Monsieur Bouffard.
In contact with the developer this morning. He has submitted, is ready to submit his construction plan. They are prepared, they are ready. And as soon that the bylaw is registered, coming to effect, is prepared to start construction.
Good stuff.
So
Thank
this
you.
is pretty soon.
Yeah, thanks for all your information throughout this. Good.
All right. Good. So we'll go to the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Proposed municipal and zoning bylaw amendments, Daniel Drive and Vanier Boulevard, dont on fait l'amendement proposé de l'arrêté municipal et de rezonage, promenade Daniel et boulevard Vanier. On va à la deuxième arrêté de lecture, second reading of bylaw 2025-01M. Ms. Parker.
That bylaw 2025-01M, entitled A Bylaw to Amend Bylaw Number 2006-01, entitled The City of Bathurst Municipal Plan Bylaw, be read for the second time by title.
All right, I'll need someone to move. Councillor Scarry, seconded by Councillor Anderson. Ready for the question? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carried. We're going to the second reading of bylaw 2025-01Z, dont deuxième lecture, arrêté 2025-01Z. Ms. Parker.
That bylaw 2025-01Z, entitled A Bylaw to Amend Bylaw 2008-01, entitled The City of Bathurst Zoning Bylaw, be read for the second time by title.
All right, I'll need someone to move. Deputy Mayor Willett, seconded by Councillor LeBlanc. Ready for the question? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carried. On s'en va à la troisième lecture de l'arrêté 2025-01M. Third reading of bylaw 2025-01M. Ms. Parker.
That bylaw 2025-01M, entitled A Bylaw to Amend Bylaw Number 2006-01, entitled The City of Bathurst Municipal Plan Bylaw, be read for the third time by title.
All right, I'll need someone to move. Councillor Legacy, seconded by Councillor Hondas. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Troisième arrêté, ou troisième lecture d'arrêté 2025-01Z, third reading bylaw 2025-01Z. Ms. Parker.
That bylaw 2025-01Z, entitled A Bylaw to Amend Bylaw Number 2008-01, entitled The City of Bathurst Zoning Bylaw, be read for the third time by title.
All right, I'll need someone to move. Deputy Mayor Willett, seconded by Councillor Branch. Ready for the question? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Soumission au ministre de l'arrêté modifiant le plan municipal en application de l'arrêté 112 de la loi sur l'urbanisme. Submission to the Minister of the bylaw to amend the municipal plan pursuant to Section 112 of the Community Planning Act, dont on fait le rezonage pour promenade Daniel et boulevard Vanier. So rezoning for Daniel Drive and Vanier Boulevard. Ms. Parker.
Whereas Section 112 of the Community Planning Act requires the Council applies to the Minister for approval of Bylaw 2025-01M, and whereas the bylaw conforms to the requirements of the said Act, be it resolved that the City Clerk, acting on behalf of the Council, apply to the Minister of Local Government and Government Reform for approval of the bylaw as prescribed in subsection 112(2) of the said Act.
All right, I'll need someone to move. Councillor Branch, seconded by Councillor LeBlanc. Go to the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carried. On s'en vient. On tombe sur les résolutions provisoires. So we're going into the draft resolution. And before we go to 9.1 Marmachi Lane reduction study, I just need to clarify, Mr. Pettigrew. Are we receiving the study or are we getting directions from the study? Hold on.
Thank you, Your Worship. We'll go through to Mr. Abernathy, the engineering department, see what he needs for the next steps.
Okay. Mr. Abernathy.
Thank you, Your Worship. The presentation last week was essentially to lay out what the recommendations were from the engineering consultants. And so they are looking to finalize designs and go ahead with, not quite tender yet, but timelines haven't been determined yet, but they are looking to finalize designs and go ahead. So what we're looking for tonight is essentially direction that The information has been put forth, and everyone had a chance to review it and respond with any questions. And so we're looking to finalize everything essentially with the design.
Okay, so we're not going just receiving the report. We're actually, so when we read the resolution and council votes, they vote on accepting it and accepting the 2-lane requirement, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
This is where we had a lot of questions a while ago. You were looking at me, Councillor Anderson, saying, what are you doing? I needed some clarification on this one because I thought we were only receiving the report. Okay, so what we're going to do, Ms. Parker, is going to read the resolution, and then we'll go to questions, and then we'll go to voting, because if you accept, if I'm not mistaken, we will move forward. Okay, Ms. Parker.
Whereas the city has identified Miramichi Avenue as priority area under the Provincial Municipal Highway Partnership Program, PMHP, for the coming years, and whereas the City of Bathurst contracted Roy Consultants to complete a traffic analysis report for Miramichi Avenue, and whereas City Engineer Matthew Abernathy presented the traffic analysis Miramichi Avenue Lane reduction study during the regular public meeting held on May 5, 2025, be it resolved that the Council of the City of Bathurst hereby receives and accepts the Miramichi Avenue Lane reduction study completed by Roy Consultants as presented by City Engineer Matthew Abernathy on May 5, 2025.
Okay, so I'll need someone to move and someone to second. Councillor Branch, seconded by Councillor Burnett, and then we'll go to the questions. Councillor Burnett.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. So they're going to go to drawings. They're going to come up with the final design of that, and that's going to be it? Or are they going to bring that back to council? Because I had asked a question about 3 lanes down at the lights, for example, on Miramichi, and about turning lane there because of big trucks and stuff like that, and because of maybe the development of the industrial park coming down the road. So are we going to see final drawings before we say, yes, it's going to 2-lane? Or because there's got to be money spent on this study and the money spent on making the plans up. So what's the direction that we're going in here?
Mr. Pettigrew, if you're okay, I'm going to go to Mr. Abernathy, because I think you missed one of the meetings where Mr. Abernathy explained, because Miramichi Road, and I'll let you explain that.
Yep.
Mr. Abernathy, I don't want to jump in your department.
Thank you.
So the current what was proposed last week does have 3 lanes at Miramichi Avenue, Miramichi Avenue and Bridge Street. So essentially, there would be 2 lanes heading southbound on Miramichi and a single lane heading northbound on Miramichi. And so there wouldn't be any issue for truck traffic or anything like that. Every intersection would be analyzed for turning radiuses for 53-foot trucks as well. So everything would meet the guidelines for Transportation Association of Canada for any larger vehicles of any kind. So.
Well, thanks for answering that. I should have done more homework through the week, but I was away.
It's okay. It's certainly
Yep.
understandable.
Thank you.
All right. Deputy Mayor Willett.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It would be nice to have discussion with council when there's major changes like that coming to are being offered before we even go to a study. Because we spent money on the study, and I definitely don't see why we would go to 2 lanes or 3 lanes on Miramichi Avenue. To me, we're just going backwards. So in the future, I hope that we get a heads up as far as city council when you're going to present major changes like this. That's my rant, I guess, for now. So.
Okay. Councillor Hondas.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm going to rant a little bit like the Deputy Mayor Willett. I don't think this is a good thing for our city to go down to 2 lanes on the Miramichi Road. I made a few calls when I acted on my own. I called a few people that have businesses on that street, and not one of them told me this is a good idea to go down to 2 lanes from 4 lanes. It's stopping the future of our economical development, they're saying, with the chance that we're going to have a new industrial park at the old mill site. Where are those trucks going to come from? I wish we had more time on this. I don't know if there's a way that we can table that. I don't think that we should be making this decision tonight. I think there's too many rocks that haven't been turned to make sure that we're doing the right thing. A lot of them, the people that I spoke to, would consider maybe a 3-lane all the way, but 4-lane is what they want. I'm not voting for this. I'm not supporting this, unfortunately. So I just find it's too rushed, and I wish, like Deputy Mayor Willett had said, that we had more conversation before this came to table, so we were able to have those questions answered before this put on the plate tonight. So.
Okay. Councillor Branch?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm just kind of curious. So if you look at it, and I don't remember the numbers right off, but I went through the study, and I think there's something like 3,800 vehicles, 3,820 or something a day. How would that compare to like King Avenue, like the south portion of King Avenue, or say Route 430 or something? Do we know that?
I'll give you the mic. Okay, you've got the mic, Mr. Abernathy.
Thank you, Worship. That's not a comparison that I looked at. We have those numbers, but I unfortunately don't have them at my disposal right now. The only other comparisons that we do have are St. Peter Avenue and St. Anne Street, right off the top of my head, but I can certainly get that for you.
Yeah, but those are 4-lane.
Because St. Peter's Avenue is just 2 lanes, and we were talking about 15,000 traffic, right?
It's in the study there, but it's actually in Beresford,
okay.
but it's in Bell Bay, but it's in the, I believe, 13,000 range, 13.5.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, so we'd actually have to grow by 5 times the traffic level to justify having 4 lanes.
Exactly.
Essentially, do we see any scenario where that could occur, even in the long term?
I mean, I can't tell the future, but I don't think it's probably. No.
And that's what I was thinking. I guess I just want to make a comment. A lot of times stuff comes to council and we ask questions about finances and stuff like that. And a lot of times I hear people around the table say, we trust staff and we have to trust the experts. And I think this is just an example where we have to trust staff and trust the experts. We went out, we got a study done, and I think they're the experts. We have engineers here sitting in this room that agree with it. So I'm in support of them.
All right. Councillor Anderson?
Thank you, Your Worship. Just to educate myself, because when it was discussed last week, there was comments made about the potential of a new industrial park, and I think it was mentioned again tonight, about a potential new industrial park, and that by going down to a 2-lane Miramichi Road, that would impede or affect this new industrial park. Now, in my mind, and if I'm off base, tell me, the new industrial park would be on the other side, like by the current mill site, which is a very narrow 2-lane road. So I would just like to know how that would potentially impact a new industrial park site if Miramichi Lane went down to 2 roads as opposed to 4.
Thanks, Your Worship. I believe that was a comment made by a councillor. It wasn't made by us. We don't see any reason why it would impede an industrial park.
Okay. Just on a pack side, there's many places, in particular in East Bathurst, that houses are built on the street, on the sidewalk. So we've had many instances where people wanted to do the slightest bit of work to their homes, but weren't able to do so because they didn't have the setbacks. And it became kind of an issue within PAC because they were too close. So I would think that this may alleviate some of the issues that we have with variances with PAC. I could be wrong, but I kind of look at it that way.
Deputy Mayor Willett?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We had something here for Blanchard Avenue last week where taking all this property that the city owns and giving it back to the homeowners would cost a fortune. So I'm sure that it's the same thing with Miramichi Avenue. If we'd want to give all the property back to the homeowners, it would cost a fortune to the city to do so. And if we don't, then means we got grass there, and means we got to mow grass and look after trees or whatever else we're going to plant that was on those plans. So I see absolutely nothing there for the homeowners on Miramichi Avenue. So
Mr. Abernathy, so we can't just receive for this evening and bring it back to discussion. Like, I'm just bringing it up. I'm looking at you, Mr. Pettigrew. Or, are we looking at having to push to go to the vote for this evening? Councillor Legacy?
Just one more question. In the presentation last week, am I mistaken in understanding that it was a difference in cost of 1.2 million to go from 4 to 2 lanes?
That was over the entire length of all 4 phases of the project. So that's from Bridge Street all the way to Victor, which is the second entrance of the industrial park. I'm not sure if I mentioned it last week, but from that second entrance to the highway would remain 4 lanes.
Okay, but it's just a savings of 1.2 by cutting it in half.
It's a savings of 1.2 for the construction cost, but it's a yearly savings of, I think I had 30,000 down as a yearly operational savings.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Burnett?
Thanks, Madam Mayor. And financially, is there responsibility to the province in this?
Mr. Abernathy? Oh, I'll give you back the mic. All right.
There is, yeah. So essentially, this is under the provincial designated highway program. So it's funded at 79% around that area. So that's the money that we get on a yearly basis through our 5-year plan with the provincially designated highway program. And another factor of the cost, the 1.2, you bring up a good point that it is covered by the province, but it's certainly money that we need in the city to build other provincially designated highways such as Harborview and St. Peter and whatnot. So stretching that money as far as we can is certainly a priority. And it also affects the timeline of the project. It brings the project an extra year to complete in 5 phases as opposed to in 4 phases if it's brought down.
All right. Councillor Hondas?
Madam Mayor, is there any way we can table this to another meeting? I'd like to have more information on it. I'm not sold on a 2-lane there. I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm a Helltowner and I've been there all my life and it's always been in a 4-lane and I just don't see it. Bring it down to 2. We get the economic boom that we're looking to get with all these properties that we're opening up. How much is it going to cost us to change it from a 2-lane back to a 4-lane? So I just want to make sure we cross our T's and dot our I's there.
All right. So we have a motion on the table to table. I will need someone to second, if there's a second. Councillor Legacy, and we're going to go to the vote. So for those in favor, raise your hand, and for those above, we'll start favor and then oppose. So everyone in favor, say aye and raise your hand. Aye. Okay. Oppose? Yeah. Amy Lynn needs.
Sorry, not that
yeah.
fast.
Okay. Okay. And against? Yep. Okay. So I just want to make sure, Councillor Branch, you were tabled it? Yes? Okay. All right. So motion tabled. We will bring it back. Okay. Yeah, how quickly can we bring it back? Is this something I think that we would need to have a meeting in June to discuss again, or? Yeah, we have a meeting on June 2nd. Okay. Okay. We are going to la nomination du maire adjoint. So the appointment of. Oh, Jeff, I'm so sorry. Conseiller Leblanc.
It's not a problem, Madam Mayor. Ma question était simple. Là, on a mis ça de côté, puis on va revenir au mois de juin. On a-tu des questions spécifiques? Parce que là, qu'est-ce qu'on vient faire au mois de juin? Qu'est-ce que l'information qui est requise? C'est ça ma question. Parce que moi, j'ai tout lu le document, j'ai compris le document, puis je veux publiquement que ça soit clair, que je suis prêt à aller avec tout le monde, mais moi, je suis en faveur, après avoir analysé tous les côtés.
Okay.
Mais j'ai pas de problème avec ça, là, avec le tablé. Là. Sauf, faut qu'on ait des questions spécifiques. Là. On peut pas revenir d'un mois et dire, je n'ai pas plus d'informations. Là.
Oui, on peut certainement rediscuter tout de suite, si vous voulez. Ça fait, on peut... La motion est là. Si vous voulez en discuter, on est ouvert. If you guys want to discuss, you want to give your opinion, or you have any questions that you would like to add to it, we can do it right now. Now is the time. Yep, you agree? Okay. So, anybody have any other questions or recommendations or what they would like? Oh, Councillor Burnett, I see your button. Okay, there.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would like to know about a 3-lane, and rather, I don't mind the 2-lane, but I would prefer a 3-lane. And a 4-lane, I can see getting that pavement away from the houses there, you know, so that's a big point for me. But can we go 3-lane and still give those homes some property in the front? That's a question I would like answered next time it's brought back.
Well, we can have the answer right now, Mr. Pettigrew, because I think it was brought the last time. I'll go to Mr. Abernathy. Okay. Yeah, Mr. Abernathy.
Thank you, Your Worship. So the situation with Miramichi Avenue right now is there's a large number of entrances, of driveways. So if you compare Miramichi to St. Anne Street, there's access control on St. Anne Street, as in the driveways are very spread out. You don't have a lot of driveways which are facing each other, which can cause a head-on situation in the middle lane. Miramichi Avenue is significantly more driveways. I can certainly bring what would warrant a 3-lane to the next meeting, if that's something of interest to council as well, like the traffic volumes and the different scenarios where it is warranted. But I'm fairly confident that the sheer number of driveways would create a pretty significant safety concern.
And it was in the report, not recommended by Roy Consultant. It was also in the report, Councillor Branch. Yeah. Okay. Councillor Branch?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I guess just my question about the 430, because I'm just curious for context, right? I mean, I live in the 430, it's very busy, and whenever I go over on Miramichi, there's almost no traffic, right? And I mean, 2-lane on the 4 traffic, there's a lot of heavy truck traffic, like there are never any issues, the traffic just flows, right? And like I say, whenever I find myself on Miramichi, there's very, very little traffic.
Okay. Deputy Mayor Willett?
So what I'd like to know is what the actual cost savings would be for the city, because if 79% of it is costing that we're going to save on the project, means that really we're only saving $500,000 on the project to go to a 4-lane. The other thing, if we go to a 2-lane, what happens to all these properties? Are we going to pay to give these properties back to the owners along Miramichi Avenue? Or are we going to keep responsibility on those properties, which means that we're going to have to take care of the lawn, we're going to have to take care of the entrance to their driveways, we're going to have to, you know, all that, was that taken into consideration? Because if we're not doing that, we're not saving $30,000 a year. We're going to be spending money. So,
Right. Mr. Pettigrew, can I go to Mr. Abernathy?
Yeah.
Yep.
Certainly. Thanks. Yes, the project is funded at 79%, but we are only allocated so much money by the provincial designated highway money, so we could pretty much consider it part of our budget. If we spend it on this, we can't spend it somewhere else. So it's, technically, yes, we're only saving 21% of actual tax dollars, but the project money, they're not going to be giving us more money to do something else. So I don't think there's a whole lot more discussion to be had on that. That is what it is. That's the number. As far as the properties themselves, the right-of-ways won't change. The right-of-way property, right now there's a 66-foot right-of-way, just the same as anywhere else in the city. So the condition would go from what's currently there now to essentially the same as any other street in the city. So people would have larger front lawns, they would have longer driveways. They would be responsible for maintaining that. It's the same as any other street in the city.
So you go 66 feet, So you're eliminating 2 lanes. So you're eliminating 66 feet on each side.
No, the right of way and the street are completely independent of each other. Because you're narrowing the street does not mean the right of way is narrowing. The right of way stays where it is, and we will maintain possession of the right of way. So the people's properties are not going to be getting larger. Their front yards are going to be getting a little bit longer, and their driveways will be getting a little bit longer. But the city doesn't maintain that infrastructure inside of the right of ways. It's sort of a given that the property owners maintain that.
But we're still going to own that property. So we're still going to have to maintain that property.
No. It's the exact same as any other street in the city. All right-of-ways are 66 feet. May it be St. Peter Avenue or Miramichi Avenue or Vanier or Sunset. All of the right-of-ways are the same distance.
I find it really short-sighted to eliminate 2 lanes of highway on the East Bathurst side for a savings of 21%. Because when we first looked at this, it was supposed to be a project of 4 years. Now you're saying it's a project of 5 years. So by the time we're done on the 3rd year, it could turn into a project of 6 years. Things change. We know it with the cost of everything else. So I don't know. I'm definitely I'll be voting against it anyways, one way or the other. So I don't see the vision or the future for development and that if this goes ahead. So it kind of kills that aspect of it as far as I'm concerned. That's it for me.
Councillor Anderson?
Just for clarification, so when you're turning off, like the proposal is when you're turning off a bridge onto Miramichi, you're going to have 3 lanes up until the Rough Waters Drive turnoff, correct?
Yes, that's what's proposed, yeah.
And then go to 2, and then at the industrial park going to 4 lanes. So you're coming into the city and going out of the city on 4 lanes, correct? Okay, thank you.
So the only 2 lanes that we would have shortened is after you turn off to Rough Waters Drive, right up to when just before you hit to get off on the highway.
Yeah, so there'd be a transition there at Victor Street. I'm not sure of the final design of how, because there is an off-ramp from the highway that comes onto Miramichi as well. I'm not sure how that's all going to be configured. But right now, we're not planning on going past Victor Street. So whatever's after Victor Street would remain the same. From there, there would be a transition down to 2 lanes at Victor Street.
Okay. And just for clarification as well, you had mentioned that if we went to 2 lanes, we would be able to get it done in 4 years as opposed to 5, or did I misunderstand that?
So that's just a mathematical, if we're saving 1.2 million, we can get it done in 4 years.
We can get it done sooner, okay, within 4 years.
Yeah. Now, only 2 phases of this, only 1 phase of this is even approved by provincially designated highway program.
Okay.
So we're talking theoretically here if they approve subsequent phases of the project.
Okay. Councillor Branch?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. On the conceptual drawings, it showed like the trail for active living or whatever, and it showed the trees and all that. Is that all costed into this? And is that what it would be in the end?
It is costed in. What we're looking at right now is a concrete sidewalk on one side and a 10-foot wide multi-use trail on the opposite side. Both of them would be directly adjacent to the road. There wouldn't be a boulevard or anything there, trees or anything like that. Because that would add significantly to our operational costs. Yeah.
But still, you would have that pathway.
Yeah.
So I think the opposite. I think it's short-sighted to keep 2 lanes that we don't need because we already have it, when we could make it much more aesthetically pleasing and essentially multiple use, right? People could get out and bike and walk and rollerblade or whatever. So, it would be better for homeowners along that.
And the multi-use trail is only to the current walking trail, where the old tracks used to be. That's where that goes to. Just want to clarify that.
Thank you.
Okay. So, if all goes well, this will be brought to our first Monday, June meeting. So, if you have any other questions, meanwhile, please send it to Mr. Pettigrew and Mr. Abernathy. for clarification. You can email, call them, just reach out. And because when we come back to the meeting on June 2nd, we will go to the resolution and vote. All right? So we still have time to ask any questions that may come up tomorrow or next week. It is. Yeah. Perfect. Okay. Now, make sure I've got no questions. Appointment of Deputy Mayor, Ms. Parker.
Whereas Councillor Knowles was nominated for the position of Deputy Mayor for a first term at the Committee of the Whole meeting held on May 12, 2025, now therefore be it resolved that Councillor Knowles be hereby appointed as Deputy Mayor for a first term to serve until the conclusion of their current term of office on Council.
All right, I'll need someone to move. Councillor Honda, seconded by Councillor Scary. Councillor Knowles cannot be here with us this evening. His mother passed away over the weekend. And Ellen Knowles passed away at the age of 95. She was a beautiful woman, smart as a whip, and so it was sudden, and that's why he's not with us this evening. So we'll go to the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Congratulations, Councillor Knowles. All right, 2025 grants contribution. Ms. Parker, you want to explain what we're doing?
Yeah. So you may have noticed that we have two separate resolutions in the package. Due to time constraints, this is kind of how I had to set it up. The first resolution is for what was presented by the grant committee last week. So their proposed amounts with their reasonings. The second one is for the two presentations that you would have received last week. They have deadlines for June, and if we do this the typical way we normally do, they would only receive an answer in July. So what I did was I did go to the grants committee. The amounts that are there are what they proposed, but now would be the time if you have any questions, any discussion, anything like that before we go to the resolution, and I can make adjustments as we go.
Okay. So we'll start with the first resolution.
Yep. That the grant distribution be approved as follows, as discussed during the Committee of the Whole meeting held May 12, 2025. For La Luga Barbecue, $1,000. For Curling Club, $15,000 annually for 5 years, totaling $75,000. François Foulem, $600. Art Society, $850. And Festival de Théâtre en Acadie, $550.
All right, so I'll need someone to move. Councillor Branch, seconded by Councillor Burnett. Do we have any questions? Councillor Anderson?
Thank you, Your Worship. Just to clarify, I thought we had said that for the barbecue, it was $500 per event, that they had to do the event to get the $500 as opposed to just $1,000.
Yep. Yeah. Sorry, I wasn't there last week.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry, that's right. You weren't there.
Yes.
Oh, Amy, this is what.
Yeah.
But when we send the letter out, we can specify that in the letter.
Okay, perfect.
So they'll get the first five, like the 500.
They had two separate
Yes.
events.
So they
set
have
up.
500 based
Perfect.
on what we discussed.
Great, thank you.
Okay. All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. We're going to go to the second distribution.
That the grant distribution be approved as follows, as recommended by the grant committee. For Festival Chaleur Bantou, $1,000. For École Secondaire de Piziguit, Projet En Route 2, $6,250 annually for 4 years, totaling $25,000.
All right, so I'll need someone to move in second. Councillor Hondas, seconded by Deputy Mayor Willett. So we'll go to questions on this one. Councillor Burnett?
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I wasn't here for the presentation, sadly, but they're getting two buses, right?
They already have one.
Well, yeah.
And this is the second one, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And the first bus, based on the presentation, and I think the documentation was in this report as well. Ms. Parker, did we provide it again? So they're like Belle Bay. There's a lot of other municipalities and businesses that they were able to get to the first bus. Now this is for the second bus.
I remember when I was there in education, you had to sell chocolate bars, come out as your yin yang, in order to get the safety for kids to drive and that. My question is, because we're getting the Congrès Mondial in the very near future, I wonder if we can ask that they consider those buses be used by the community at that time. Not a stipulation, but to show good faith that we're giving them a considerable amount of money, and that the buses probably will come in real handy for the Congrès. So maybe we could have that dialogue with them.
Absolutely, and by then we should have our own public transportation buses as well, so I think we're going to need a lot of buses.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of people here.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Councillor Anderson?
I have a bit of an issue with it. My question is, I'd like to know, and I don't know, you probably don't know offhand, I feel like we have a lot of commitments out there. Mm-hmm. We have a lot of commitments to various organizations for 3, 4, 5 years at a significant amount of money per organization. When I look at what we have given out as of May, whatever the date is, May 20th, I want to say we're upwards of the $340,000 range of money that we have given out thus far this year to various organizations. And my biggest, that's a concern of mine, number one. However, it's just the amount of multiple year partnerships that we're in, that we've committed ourselves to. Like, I would really like to have that information, because like this year is going to pretty much almost drain what we have in the grants.
Ms. Parker, do you have the numbers in front of you? Yeah. Okay.
So with the curling club, and keep in mind that these are staggered. Some are for 5, some are for 4, like
Correct.
some are ending.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right now, for next year, 2026, we are committing $105,000.
Okay, and this would be on top of that?
Yes.
That
So
would be on
you would
top
have to add an extra $6,000.
And do we know offhand if there's any that are due to end in the next year or so?
I do believe that the medical education fund is ending next year, if I'm not mistaken. But the other ones have basically just started.
What about Sistema?
Sistema was for 5 years, and it started in 2023.
It was 2023. Yeah. I just really have a hard time committing that much money again, going forward for another 4 years, especially with another council coming in here next year. They could decide that they don't want this high budget for grants. Do you know what I mean? And that they're on the hook. So that's kind of where I have my issue with it.
So what I can tell you is, Ms. Parker and I have been talking, and Ms. Parker, if you want to share the changes that we will be doing, that should be coming in soon.
I can give a little bit of insight of what we're proposing, hopefully in June at the Committee of the Whole, to make some changes to the grant policy, just to try and get a handle on it, because we were getting requests.
It's out of control.
On a daily basis almost. We would like to break it down into sponsorships, grants, and then donations, so have a different criteria depending what it is. And like I said, I'm working on it now. Hopefully will be presented in the future.
Perfect. And take in consideration as well is that from the tourism levy, a lot of that comes from that as well. So there are certain ones, that's why we were going to make some of the changes, because we have the funds for the grants, but then we also have the $240,000 that we received from the tourism levy.
Correct.
That goes into that as well. Yeah, so I understand. And by having the changes, we are going to need help from communication, because we are going to have set deadlines. We're going to reach out and we're going to say, okay, these are the deadlines that you have to bring them in, because we are bringing them in on a weekly basis.
I mean, every meeting, we're having requests for money, every meeting. Like, you've been here as long as I have. We've never seen it like this before, ever. No. It's a bit much.
Yeah.
Something I was going to ask, and I can't remember what it was. Oh, the tourism fund, the tourism levy. That is meant for our tourism initiatives in the city. Do you know what I mean? And legally, when that first came into play, the tourism, like the guidance that we had received was the money that we used from that levy is to go towards things that are of tourism nature. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. So I'll give you an example. Like with the curling club, right? It brings people to
Correct.
the curling club.
100%.
Same. Yeah. So, with the bus, it's going to promote the city of Bathurst on their bus whenever they're traveling. So that could be considered on that
I think
maybe as
that's
well.
splitting hairs.
Yeah, it could
I mean,
be.
When you look at it, bottom line, we're funding a bus for a school.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just looking at the marketing side, Mr. Pettigrew. I know we've talked about this tourism going back and forth with the tourism levy, but we've kind of put it all into one grants committee that includes tourism and grants.
Okay.
But that's why we want to make these changes.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
We need to make changes, especially for the next year.
Correct, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So this is what we have on the table. Councillor Burnett.
Councillor Anderson's right. When the hotels agreed to this tourism levy money, it was for tourism, you know, and that's what I disagreed with earlier in the year, that there wasn't a separate fund, but there should be, because the tourist operators said, okay, we're collecting. Now that goes right back into promoting tourism, you know, so when you're looking at it again, please keep that in mind. Thanks.
Yes. Thank you. All right. So we're going to go to the resolution. Do you want me to do each one individually or just together for this one? We'll do it together. If you have any objections, okay. So for all those in favor, signify by saying aye. Oppose? Motion carried. On s'en va à rapport sur la composition du Conseil, salaire et privilèges du vote du maire. So council composition, salaries, and voting privilege report. Ms. Parker, do you want to explain what we will be doing this evening and how this process is going to work?
Sure. Thank you, Madam Mayor. So you will notice, again, for this one, we have two resolutions that are kind of based on the same thing. So what happens, because Mr. Dubé's report touches on 3 of our bylaws, in order to kind of streamline the process and make it as easy as possible to follow, we're going to focus on each one individually. We will start with the composition, because that is one that does have a deadline attached to it. It does need to go to the province where they need to approve it. So what we are doing tonight is we are receiving the report that Jacques Dubé presented last week, and then we will go to a resolution once discussions had to say how many councillors we would like for composition. So we need this information in order to send it off to the province, in order for us to start the whole process to get the bylaw done and get this done by a certain date, because if not, we won't be able to submit it.
Fait, je vais juste l'expliquer en français aussi. Donc, pour ce soir, on a la résolution qu'on va accepter, la recommandation de M. Dubé, mais vu qu'il y a 3 différents bylaws arrêtés, je réalise, je parle beaucoup avec mes mains aussi, j'ai remarqué ça. Il y a 3 différents arrêtés. Une des arrêtés, c'est le nombre de sièges qu'on va avoir ce soir. Fait, on va aller sur celui-là ce soir, sur le nombre de sièges. Celui-là est le plus important parce qu'il faut envoyer la demande à la province et il faut que la province l'accepte. Les 2 autres, dont le salaire qui a été recommandé et le droit du vote au maire, va être amené au mois de juin. Ça ne sera pas discuté ce soir et ça va être amené à 2 différentes, ça peut être pendant la même réunion, mais 2 différents arrêtés. So 2 different resolutions, because each one is different and it applies to our resolutions and our bylaws. So right now, Emeline is just going to read that we accept or receive, yes, it's receive and accept, it's getting confusing now. Receive the report.
Whereas the City of Bathurst contracted Strategic Engagement Stratégique Chaleur Inc., SESC, to conduct a comprehensive review and provide recommendations on the salary levels of the mayor and councillors, the composition of the city council, and the voting privileges of the mayor, and whereas Jacques Dubé, president of SESC, authored the report and presented the findings and recommendations during the Committee of the Whole meeting held on May 12, 2025, and whereas the report was informed by a comparative analysis of 18 municipalities across Atlantic Canada, a review of relevant municipal bylaws, historical salary data, and provincial legislative frameworks, be it resolved that the Council of the City of Bathurst hereby receives the report prepared by Strategic Engagement Stratégique Chaleur Incorporated as presented by Jacques Dubé on May 12, 2025.
All right, I'll need someone to move in second. Councillor Scarry, seconded by Councillor Hondas. Ready for the question? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carried. On va aller à la composition du Conseil. Council composition. Yes, we'll have the discussion. Okay, all right. So last week when we talked about it, we talked about, with the presentation that Mr. Dubé did, he had recommended 6 and then 8 or down to 7 or status quo. So I know we had a lot of discussion last week, and a lot of councillors shared their opinion, but we had 2 councillors missing. Is there any questions or anybody that has anything that they would like to add? Councillor Burnett.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. It was quite a report. I read it 2 or 3 times just to get it all in there. I think 8 would be a good number, and with you voting, that would help the whole situation. But the only thing I worry about is having the mayor vote. If council makes a decision, the mayor still has to go with that decision and stand up for it. Sometimes that's hard because the mayor might have a separate opinion on an issue, and the council has the other. So it puts the mayor in a sort of a difficult place sometimes. But I agree that you should, looking at all the communities that have the mayor vote, I agree with that report that the mayor should vote. And I stay with the number 8 because we've taken in so much territory with this amalgamation. And I think it's fair to the outlying areas that we have some numbers here in order to represent them better.
Yeah. So for this evening, we will talk about the number of seats, but the voting will come into June. We'll discuss that one at another meeting. So for this evening, only the number of seats. But what I can tell you is last week, I've never shied of giving my opinion. Whoever's going to be sitting here as mayor, I believe if you look across Canada, all the other mayors in Quebec and Ontario all have a vote. But the mayor's role and responsibility is that no matter what, I've sat here over the years, if a decision goes through, like as a city councillor, you voted for and the majority voted against, we have to respect each other as council, and we have to accept the decision, and we are here as a team to work together, and that's the decision of council. So that cannot change. That respect cannot change. So no matter the decision of a mayor or decision of another councillor, when the vote is done, it's done. On tourne la page. On tourne la page, and we move on to the next file at hand. And that would be the goal for this. Okay. Thank you. You're welcome. Councillor Branch?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just my viewpoint on that is, I think within reason, more is better because you have better debate, better discussion, right? And so for me, I don't see anything wrong with the status quo. And I know we're talking finances at another meeting, but if reduction is due to finances, it wouldn't even bother me if the salary was froze or even reduced. That may not be a popular decision, but I know when I put my name forward, that was not even a consideration, and maybe I was naive, but I thought I'd receive a small stipend, right? I volunteered, I've been on boards, commissions, committees, I've never been paid for any of it, and I just thought we'd get a small stipend. When I was sworn in, we got the bylaw. Well, that's a pleasant surprise, right? But that's not my motivating factor for being here. So.
Okay, perfect. So what I will do is I will start with Councillor Hondas, as I did last week, and we are voting on the number of seats. Oh, Monsieur Laplante?
Merci, Madame la mairesse. Juste pour clarifier aussi, à l'élection de 2021, l'élection était basée sur la réalité qu'on avait en place, qui voulait dire aussi une structure où est-ce qu'on a des conseillers généraux. quand la réforme a eu lieu, la province a rajouté 2 sièges pour le quartier 2, mais ce que ça a fait, ça a aussi créé en même temps un quartier 1. Donc, en réalité, la structure qu'on a présentement, c'est qu'on a 7 élus pour représenter le quartier 1 et 2 élus pour représenter le quartier 2. Ce qu'on a compris des discussions qui ont eu lieu, puis c'est ce qui figurerait dans notre lettre qu'on va devoir envoyer à la province aussi, c'est qu'on retournerait à un modèle de conseillers généraux. Mais je voulais juste que ce soit clair pour que si vous voulez faire quelque chose d'autre, qu'on le sache.
Ouais.
Mais c'est la compréhension qu'on a, c'est qu'on continue avec ou on retourne plutôt à un modèle de conseillers généraux.
Exactement. On retourne généraux, non pas voir par quartier. OK. Conseil Hondas.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm comfortable with 8. I think 8 gives us, each councillor, the same amount of citizens that we can take care of, and I don't have a problem helping somebody from North Tetigos or Big River. I think they're all part of our city, and I think that's where we should go, so 8 at large would be my 2 cents.
All right. Councillor Legacy?
Yeah, I agree with Councillor Hondas, but just kind of pointing out that this also determines the mayor's right to vote, because we can't have we need an uneven voting number, so.
Not necessarily. So in Edmundston and other municipalities, they have even numbers. Actually, prior to us coming in 2016, they had even number. They were 8. So the mayor was only in case of a tie. So back then, the mayor did not vote only if there was a tie. So when you're 7, very rarely, I mean, in the 4 years that I've been in place, I think I voted twice in breaking a tie. So just because you go 8 does not mean that you guys will, like council will agree that the mayor has a vote or not. That will be brought in June, but for this evening, it's the number of seats.
Okay.
Yeah. There's many municipalities, like in Moncton, they have 10. But automatically the mayor of Moncton votes. But a lot of municipalities have an even number, and the mayor votes only in a tie.
Okay.
All right? Okay, so seat number?
I already said, I agree with Councillor Hondas.
Oh, you do? Okay, perfect. Thank you. I did not hear that part. Councillor Scary.
I would agree that we should have 8 councillors moving forward. Yes.
Okay. Councillor Anderson?
Well, last week when we discussed it, my answer was 7 councillors, but I mean, I'm good either way. 7, but I'm good.
Okay. Deputy Mayor Willett?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. 8 councillors at large, yes.
Okay. Councillor Burnett?
8 councillors at large, please.
Conseiller Leblanc?
Like my colleague next to me, I agree with debate, so 8 councillors at large.
Okay. And Councillor Branch?
I guess at this point it doesn't matter a whole lot, but like I say, I like debate, and oftentimes, like, we're part-time. A lot of us still work. Sometimes we have to travel for work. We have family commitments. Sometimes we've been down 2, 3 people, so we're at 6 or 7 debating something, right? So I'd like to see status quo, but looks like we're going to 8, so I'll stick with status quo.
Okay. So we're going to 8. We'll start the resolution.
Whereas the Council of the City of Bathurst has reviewed the current structure of council, and whereas council has determined that a reduction in the number of council members would improve efficiency and better reflect the needs of the community, now therefore be it resolved that the Council of the City of Bathurst hereby agrees to change the composition of council to 8 members, excluding the mayor, and that the city clerk be authorized to initiate the formal process by notifying the Department of Environment and Local Government of council's decision.
All right, I'll need someone to move. Councillor LeBlanc, seconded by Deputy Mayor Willett. Ready for the question? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Okay. Point discuté à huis clos. Entente East Coast Adventure. License agreement for East Coast Adventure. Ms. Parker.
That members of council approve the license agreement between East Coast Adventure Co. and the City of Bathurst for the establishment of a leisure equipment rental kiosk on the property located at Queen Street, Bathurst, near Promenade Waterfront Development, and that the mayor and city clerk be authorized to sign all related documents on behalf of the city as discussed in camera on May 5th, 2025, pursuant to Section 68 of the Local Governance Act.
All right, I'll need someone to move in second. Councillor Scarry, seconded by Councillor Legacy. All those, Councillor Burnett.
Madam Mayor, when would this start? Like, we've got the empty building
This summer.
on the causeway,
Yep.
and we still have the docks on the bank.
Everything's there this summer.
So that'll start next
As
month?
soon as it starts getting nice, as we normally start I would predict probably.
I don't think it's going to get nice. It's been like this for how long? It's terrible.
It's okay. We're getting the worst weather right now, so all the beautiful heat comes in.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I like the way you think.
All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Okay. Deed for PID 2002-0061. Acte pour le NI 2002-0061. Ms. Parker.
That members of council approve the city of Bathurst convey all of its interest in property located north of PID 2002-0061 and south of Blanchard Avenue to Mr. David Charles Botoul, and that the mayor and city clerk be authorized to sign all related documents on behalf of the city as discussed in camera on May 5th, 2025, pursuant to Section 68 of the Local Governance Act.
All right, I'll need someone to move. Councillor Branch, seconded by Councillor Burnett. Ready for the question? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Bon, on a fini de résolution. OK. Point d'information. Ms. Parker, do we have any reports from administration?
There were no reports from administration.
Okay. Do we have reports from committees?
We do have a report for Coronation Park by Councillor Anderson.
Okay. Councillor Anderson, I'm going to give you the mic.
Sure. Thank you, Your Worship. So June is Sports and Recreation Month, and Coronation Park Committee is doing a kickoff to summer event in the park on Saturday, June the 7th. We're going to have lots of games and barbecues and stuff like that set up for the kids in the park. Additionally, we're also going to be celebrating the 30th anniversary of the McFlurry. For people that don't know, the McFlurry is from Bathurst. It originated here. So the June 6th is the actual anniversary of the McFlurry. So we're doing kind of an anniversary celebration along with the Kids' Day in the park on that Saturday. So the event is going to be held from 12 o'clock till 4 o'clock in the park. It's going to be lots of fun and activities, like I said. I hope everybody from council can attend. And Madam Mayor, we're hoping that you'll be able to attend to say a few words on behalf of the city.
Absolutely. And I think council, we should all be there and helping out like we do for Canada Day.
100%.
Right? So we give out cake and everything else. So
somebody can flip burgers.
Yeah.
Somebody can flip hot dogs.
Oh,
We're
I
gonna
flipped
have
hot dogs
cupcakes.
at the
We're gonna do it
Employee
all.
Appreciation Day. I can do that.
You can come to my house, blow up balloons the night before.
Okay. We'll buy a machine to blow it up.
Oh, yeah, got that.
Got that. Okay, good.
So it's going to be a good day. If it happens to rain, we will have a rain date, and that'll be announced later on. But right now, everything is a go for the 7th of June.
Okay. Just quickly as well as, we do have questions. So, Conseiller Leblanc.
Merci, Madame la mairesse, mais c'est vraiment pas une question. C'est un remerciement au comité du Parc Coronation. Cet événement ici, c'est quelque chose. Là. Le McFlurry, je ne sais pas si les gens réalisent comment on est chanceux et privilégié que ça a été développé ici par un des nôtres, M. Ron McClellan. Écoute, on va dans d'autres endroits où il y a un sentiment d'appartenance pour quoi que ce soit, puis ils font des grosses statues, ils font des gros événements, des festivals. Nous autres, un produit qui est sur le menu de au-dessus de 100 pays, dans les McDonald's, dans 100 pays dans le monde, a été créé ici, à Bathurst. Ça fait qu'encore une fois, Penny, toi, toute ton organisation, merci. Et merci Ron et Gail McClellan de l'avoir créé 30 ans passés. C'est un honneur pour nous autres ici à Bathurst et moi, j'en suis très fier. Merci encore.
Merci.
Deputy Mayor Willett.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm sorry I'm going to be off subject there, but I was asked today about the walkway on Vanier, the sidewalk for going over the CN tracks. It's been over 4 years now that it's been closed, and we're not getting it. We're not going anywhere with it. So I was told tonight that it's in the hands of the Department of Transportation, but, you know, like, we gotta be able to push this as a city to get this done before somebody gets killed on that bridge, because it's getting dangerous. People are walking, you know. There's no railing, there's nothing on the other side, and on this side here, people are still walking. They're still walking across the bridge without the safety net, without the safety aspect of it, so.
So Mr. Abernathy, or Mr. Pettigrew, through the
Mr. Abernathy.
All right. Do we have an update on that one?
Yes, Your Worship, thank you. So essentially the specifications, design, and everything, the tender package is all ready to go. It's been in the hands of CN Rail over the last several months, upwards 8 to 10 months, for going through their approval process. Essentially, every aspect of the project has to be approved by CN, so there's quite a vigorous approval process on their side. That is complete, however. Just a couple of weeks ago, we had word that was complete. It is now back in the hands of the Department of Transportation for their final sign-off. So we are waiting on them, and as soon as we get the final sign-off from DOT, we'll be going out to tender immediately and hopefully getting that in by midsummer. So.
All right. Answer your question, Deputy Mayor Willett? Oh, yep. Councillor Brunet?
On Coronation Park, is there going to be music that day? Having bands or groups coming in, or?
Oh, I'll give you the. All right, you've got the mic.
Not sure about bands or anything yet. It's going to be mostly, it's for children. So there's going to be children's activities. It's not going to be like Canada Day celebrations where we do have that stuff. The focus is on the kids.
Okay.
So there's going to be like stations set up all throughout the park with various activities for the kids to be doing. It's kind of like a penny circus theme almost.
Okay.
So as for the bands, no, you have to wait for July 1st for that.
Okay, well, try to get my grandkids here for that because
Absolutely.
it's quite a park. It's a beautiful
Yeah,
park.
absolutely.
And thank you to your committee and the Rotary Club too. Yeah.
Yes, they've helped a lot in the park.
Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you. To go back to June 7th and the McFlurry, just so people know, I did speak with Ron McLellan, and this council has been in discussion of wanting to do something for the McFlurry. So they spoke to head office, and head office is in agreement as well. So we are looking at a few options. Some of the things is we would love to have a sign that says Home of the McFlurry when you come into Bathurst. But another thing we really want to do is have the biggest McFlurry in a spoon where, you know, I Heart Bathurst, same concept, but it would be with the McFlurry. So that is our intentions. We've spoke about it, so for people to know. Donc, c'est le 30e anniversaire du McFlurry. Et la ville de Bathurst veut faire quelque chose de spécial avec le propriétaire. Donc, on est déjà en discussion. Donc, avoir des enseignes qui diraient Home of the McFlurry, donc ça a été inventé ici, à Bathurst, 30 ans passés. Et on regarde aussi avoir une plus grosse enseigne où les gens, peut-être avec la crème glacée et la cuillère, du genre, on est encore dans le design mode de voir qu'est-ce qu'on va être en mesure de faire. Mais je pense que c'est le temps. I think it's time for us to really use this to our advantage and for people to know that this was created by them. I know, Councillor LeBlanc, you had an opportunity to go in the basement where his office is, and some of the stuff that he has is absolutely unbelievable. I had the pleasure when I volunteered for McHappy Day, and it's beautiful to see the work that they do. So the least that we can do is to give back. Bon. So, Ms. Anderson, that both McFlurry and that one together, that's what you wanted to talk about? Because we had, Ms. Parker had it in two different points.
Yeah, because the second point was basically about starting, because our previous council, there was discussions at the previous council about wanting to do something to recognize the McFlurry, Bathurst being the home of the McFlurry, recognize the McClellan family for the contributions that they make to the community. Like, people aren't aware of how generous this family is to various organizations in the city, in particular to children's organizations. Like, people just aren't aware of that. So we wanted to celebrate them. It kind of just things that went on with our last term. It just didn't happen. I'd like to make sure that this term, like you said, one thing in particular is the signage coming into the highway signs coming in, have the home of the McFlurry and all those highway signs entering the city. Make it stand out that Bathurst is the home of the McFlurry and absolutely the cup. Like, if we can get that done, I'd be very happy.
So would I.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Oh. Conseiller Leblanc.
Just one last thing to add on that. I really hope that the province listens and catches on to this.
Yeah.
This is something the province of New Brunswick should be on board with and should be celebrating. So I hope that they hear this, and I hope they take advantage of this opportunity to promote and let the world know. The McFlurry was created in our province. So not only when you drive into Bathurst, when you drive into New Brunswick, you should know that this is the home of the McFlurry. I just want to...
Good point. Good point. Bon, I'll do my mayor's report, and then on fera la proclamation, journée intergénérationnelle. I want to say a special thank you to the Bathurst High School. Last Friday, again this year, like they do every year, the city provides the gloves and the garbage bags and the sticks. They went around town and picked up in the ditches and everywhere else the garbage and the mess. It was funny because one of the teachers reached out to me and the students asked for Mr. Freeze's. So I said, okay. So I actually went out, try to find Mr. Freeze when it's not Mr. Freeze season, of course. So Walmart had them, but had the jumbo ones. So I picked up 324 Mr. Freezes, because it's not just one school. There was other school, like I think Superior was involved. So, and then the teacher messaged me and she goes, "You got the good stuff." And I really did. Oh yeah, I did. A good idea, right? Because of all the work that they were doing. So thank you to the Bathurst High School, Superior Middle School, and all the other schools that were involved. Last Friday as well, we did the flag raising for the LGBTQ+. And there's the crosswalk in front of City Hall. I'm going to look at Mr. Abernathy. The students have offered to paint it if we had the paint, or if we were able to do it. I'm not sure when we are going to update the colors and bring it back to life for this season. But they have offered, a group of students have offered to come and paint the crosswalk. We can talk about it. Le 13 de mai, j'ai participé à la Chambre de commerce, leur AGA, la Chambre de commerce Chaleur, au Gowan Bray. Ça a été une très, très, très belle rencontre. Beaucoup de participants, beaucoup d'entreprises qui étaient là. Encore, continuez le beau travail que vous faites. On May 14th, I actually went to Terry Fox School where we had the flag ceremony. So they permanently raised the Grand Council Micmac flag at the school. It was beautiful. You should have seen the young children. I mean, grade 4, grade 5, reading, telling the story. All the students came out. And, of course, Chief First Nation, they did the smudging. Everybody was there. And they are looking at doing that at all the schools, especially the Anglophone School District. And I heard about the Francophone as well. So they're looking at having the flags there. Le 14 mai, j'ai participé à l'inauguration d'un beau projet à Place des Jeunes. Le projet s'appelle Génie Art, qui est en collaboration avec l'artiste peintre Graziel Matteau et les étudiants de PDJ. Ils ont officiellement ouvert un bistrot qui offrira de la nourriture aux jeunes à besoin. Le bistrot, tout le devant du bistrot sur le côté a tout été peinturé. C'est de toute beauté. Je pense le matin, ils peuvent me chercher un grilled cheese, mais ça va être un lieu. Puis un côté à la droite, c'est comme s'ils ont leur propre petite cafétéria dont ils peuvent déjeuner le matin aussi. Et je voudrais dire merci au professeur Sophie Bellefleur et tous les professeurs impliqués et les étudiants qui ont participé à la peinture. C'était vraiment de toute beauté. On a pris des photos, puis si vous pouvez aller voir sur la page Facebook de Place des Jeunes, aussi avec Terry Fox School, Pabineau First Nation has the pictures there as well for the flag raising at the school. This Saturday, May 24th, the Bathurst Art Society will have their annual opening from 2 to 4. They're located at the Bathurst waterfront. These are local artists. If you haven't had a chance to visit the gallery, it's well worth your time. Absolutely beautiful. This is this Saturday. This Sunday, May 25th, we have Explored the Land, Learn the Stories. Pabineau First Nation Initiative will be offering a hands-on, family-friendly event around the Canadian geographic Indigenous people of Canada. So you can visit their Facebook page. I'll give you more information. But it will start, the ceremony starts at 10, but at 10:30 officially till 2. And the event will be at the Bathurst Education Center at 155 Monroe Street. So this Sunday, May 25th, and you can go on the Pabineau First Nations Facebook page. Everything is there. This Sunday as well, there will be a walk for the Alzheimer's at the Casey Irving. Registration will be from 12 noon to 1 p.m. and the walk will begin at 1 p.m. Voilà la proclamation. Intergenerational Day Canada, June 1st, 2025. Journée intergénérationnelle Canada, le 1er juillet 2025. Attendu que la Journée intergénérationnelle Canada, le 1er juin, sensibilise à la puissance de faire des liens intergénérationnels simples et respectueux. Whereas Intergenerational Day, June 1st, is a day to focus on a profound positive influence, intergenerational connecting has on eliminating isolation and loneliness, moving towards healthy, all-age friendly communities. Attendu que la Journée intergénérationnelle Canada, le 1er juin, célèbre les bonnes choses qui se déroulent actuellement entre les générations dans la communauté locale, whereas Intergenerational Day Canada, June 1st, encourage simple, fun, intergenerational sharing. Attendu que la Journée intergénérationnelle Canada, le 1er juin, est un rappel officiel, une invitation chaque année pour chaque citoyen à faire un petit pas respectueux pour combler les générations au sein de sa communauté locale. Now, therefore, I, Kim Chamberlain, Mayor of Bathurst, do hereby recognize June 1st, 2025 as Intergenerational Day in Bathurst, New Brunswick. On va aller à la levée de la séance. Ms. Parker.
That the regular public meeting be adjourned at 8:29 p.m.
All right. I'll need someone to move and second. Moved by Councillor Hondas, seconded by Councillor Branch. Ready for the question? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Merci d'être avec nous ce soir. Bonne soirée à tous.